Hello. On this video, we'll continue going over the syllabus for the class. Okay, now we're going to talk about Alex. Okay, so what is Alex? Alex is a online, let's say, problem storage software. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to access Alex through wire courses, like I mentioned, and you're going to be set to this interactive environment. In this environment, you're going to be given objectives, which think of them as assignments. Right? So objectives that you're going to have to complete on by a certain date, right? And they're going to look like, just questions, mathematical questions regarding the topics we'll see in class, and you're going to answer in Alex. Okay? And then, so that's the first thing. It's going to be how we're going to be doing our online homework. And that's where a lot of the grade for this is going to come, the 1,000 points. And other than the objectives, which again, you want to think of the objectives as the assignments, in terms of assignments on Alex, you're also going to have most weeks a weekly content check. Right? I'm going to talk about them. I think I talk about it here somewhere. Yeah, the knowledge checks. Yeah, so I talk about it later, but just so you know, in general, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be accessing Alex. There, you're going to be completing your Alex or online homework assignments and also completing knowledge checks. Okay? That's a very basic summary of what Alex is. Now, Alex also has very nice tools, because what Alex does is that the first thing you're going to do when you go to Alex is do a first knowledge check. What this is going to do is see what topics do you know, what topics do you need help with, and maybe what topics you really need a lot of help with. Based on that, you're going to get a sort of personalized, let's say, work plan in terms of what things you're going to have to be doing in Alex, what problems you're going to be asked, and stuff like that. Right? So that's very useful. It's all done by AI. So this allows the problems that you work to really be focused to the parts in which you really need help. Let's say that you really need a lot of help with, I don't know, let's say graphing functions, but you don't really need a lot of help with, finding the roots of a quadratic polynomial. Then Alex is going to keep track of that, and it's going to ask you more questions about the graphing functions instead of questions about finding roots of a polynomial, right? So it makes things very personalized for you, and because of that, it really is a good tool for you to learn. It really helps a lot. Okay. Now, the point of the knowledge checks, which I'm going to talk about later, is kind of like weekly, let's say, evaluations. Basically, the knowledge checks are going to check how well do you know the topics that we're covering in class, and hence in Alex during that week, right? And if you do well in the knowledge check, then you're done, right? And you basically have to complete 9 knowledge checks at least by the end of the semester. Right? So there's 9 of them that are assigned, and then you can also get random ones around while you're working in Alex, but at least you have to do the assigned ones. Okay. Now, what's going to be very important is that in the course homepage, I have links to these that have these 2 names, Getting Started in Alex and Getting to Know Alex. I'm going to create a sort of first week to-do list so that you know what to do. But this is one of the most important things you're going to have to do this first week. Watch the video that's located in Get Started in Alex page in Wire Courses. And then in Getting to Know Alex, there's more than one video, but you have to at least watch the first one in this page. So you're going to have to watch both of those videos. They're very short. One is like 2-3 minutes, and the other one is 5. So it won't take too much of your time. And it has all the information you're going to need to work with Alex, and how to navigate Alex, how to find when are your objectives/assignments due, when is the next knowledge check, etc. What topics are you working to master? Because the way Alex is going to work is that it's going to give you topics, and let's say for a specific objective, you need to master these many topics. Okay. So just make sure to watch both of these videos. It's going to show you how all of that works. Way better than I could explain it. Having said that, once you've watched the videos, if you still need help with your Alex, not the actual content, but like, oh, I don't know how to do this in Alex, I don't know how to see the due date, stuff like that, please email me, and I will be the only one in charge of Alex, right? So since there are TAs in this class, if you have questions about Alex, specifically about how it works, you have to send them to me. Right? The only thing you can ask the tutor, the TAs, in terms of Alex, are if you have questions about the content. So let's say you're working on an assignment and there's a problem that you cannot answer, then feel free to email the TAs. But for anything else related to Alex, that's in terms of administration and how things work in there, please just email me. And if you email the TAs, they're just going to redirect it to me anyways. Yeah. So as I said, there's 3 parts. I talked about the three of them already, but there's going to be assignments. There's going to be 2 per week, and I already have everything in the course calendar, but basically they're going to be assigned on Sunday, and then that one's going to be due on Wednesday, and then the other one is going to be assigned on Thursday and be due on Saturday. Okay? So you're going to have 3 days for one of the assignments and 2 days for the other one. And there's going to be 2 per week for most weeks. There's approximately 10 to 12 topics per assignment. Right? These are the ones that I mentioned that Alex keeps track of the topics that you're working on. Right? You want to make sure that you do your best when you're working over these topics and in the knowledge checks, because basically it's really nice, because if you do know the material, you're going to be done with these topics very fast. And you'll see how this works in the tutorial videos, the one getting to know Alex. However, if you don't know too much, then it's gonna take a little bit longer. But once you've mastered the material, it's gonna go very fast. Right? So this, I think, is a nice feature, that if you already know the material, they don't force you to do the same problem a bunch of times, even though you already know how to do it. And then in terms of the grading, okay, so the exact topics are in Alex. They're in the course calendar in the YO course page. And then in terms of how it is graded, well, each assignment is worth 3 points for each topic learned. Right? So let's say if there's 10 topics in the first assignment, that's 10 times 30. That's 30 points by completing those topics by the deadline. And then you also get points by keeping, let's put it like this, keeping knowledge of that topic. So what's going to happen is you can lose mastery or knowledge of a topic. Right? So let's say you start getting a lot of questions wrong for a specific topic, which you already did for an assignment. You could still lose mastery of that topic. Right? So you're also going to be given 2 points per topic if you've kept mastery before the exam, right, for that topic. Now, there's always going to be before the exam, a second chance for you to regain mastery of these topics if you haven't done it, right? So it's not going to be that bad, but just note that just because you've completed the topics in an assignment doesn't mean that you're going to get the full points for that topic. Again, only 3 of the points come because of submitting the assignment on time. That means having all the topics done. The other 2 points come from keeping mastery of that topic. That means consistently answering correctly whenever these questions show up in Alex, so that you retain mastery. You don't have to learn it again. Okay. So that's a little bit complicated. If you have questions about that, just let me know. But in terms of what you have to do, basically, is do your best in every problem. Right? If you do that, you're going to keep the mastery of your topics, and your workload is going to be reduced a lot. Okay. So here I talk a little bit more about losing mastery of topics. Like I said, this would set you back in Alex, because what's going to happen is you're going to have to complete that topic again. And not only that, some topics are prerequisites for other topics. Okay? So again, make sure that everything you do, you work the best you can, so that you get the most points per your work, and that way you get the most topics mastered, and your work is going to be less. Okay? So the worse you do, the more work you're going to have, but the more you're going to learn. Okay? So that's kind of like the upside. And then the same for knowledge checks. Every time you take a knowledge check, make sure to do it as seriously as possible. Right? Because in this knowledge checks is where you're going to see if you're actually mastered the material. If you do the topic, you get it right in the assignment, and then you bomb it in the knowledge check, then Alex is going to be, okay, you haven't mastered the material, you're going to have to master it again. And you're going to lose those 2 points until you master it. Here I talk about the second chance assignments to get mastery of the assignments again. So that's pretty straightforward. You're going to have them on every exam week, so four times this semester, and they're going to be due the day before the exam. Okay, so it's also going to be sort of like a review for the exam. Okay. So this should be 9, I believe. I'm going to check, but here it says 10 knowledge checks. I think it's 9. If it is, I'm going to change it. If not, I'm going to leave it. Each one is worth 20 points. Right, so once you complete it, you'll receive 20 points. But again, you must take knowledge checks as serious as possible, so that you don't lose mastery over topics. Because if you do, again, you're going to have to rework a lot of problems to get that mastery back. Okay? So that's Alex. That's just like a brief summary. All of this is explained in the videos in YO courses. Again, in getting to know Alex and getting started in Alex. So you're going to have to watch these videos the first week. ideally before you start working on Alex. Okay. Now, in terms of late policy, there's no late submissions allowed, both in Alex and for the written homework, unless you have a verifiable emergency excuse, something that, like a physician's note, or you have a university excused absence. And again, any university excused absence has to be cleared through the Dean of Students office. Now, the other big part of the class, right, is the discussion sections. These you are required to attend live. Okay, so the discussion sections in your registration should have a time listed. You have to attend. They are required. Now, what's going to happen in the discussion sections is that you're going to be broken up into groups by your TA. And this is all going to be done via Zoom. Okay, so once you've accessed Zoom once, it's very easy to use. For the first time you access, you might have to create an account. So I'm going to write down a tutorial on how to do that. I haven't done it yet, but I will. But anyways, you're going to be in a Zoom meeting with your TA and the other people in your discussion. The TA is going to break you out into groups in Zoom so that you can only communicate with the people in your group, and you're going to work on the discussion assignments. The discussion assignments are basically going to be like worksheets that everyone is going to submit and complete on their own, and then submit to Wire courses, kind of like you would submit the written homework and the exam, the written part of the exam. The other extra thing that we're going to have is, since the interactive environment that you get in Zoom to work with people in your group is not very good, we're actually going to be using a software or an application that's called Jamboard by Google. I already did a tutorial video for this in Wire Courses, so please feel free please watch that video because it's going to explain what you need to do. But basically, once you've watched this video, you're going to understand how the Jamboard works. And then to access it, you're going to have to have a Gmail account. If you've been into the course homepage, you already noticed that I already have an assignment for you to create a Google Mail account. Once you've done that, you're going to submit it. You're going to submit me your email. I'm going to give that email to your TA. And that TA is going to send you an invitation before each discussion to the Jamboard. Right? So think of the Jamboard as a whiteboard where everyone's going to be working at the same time. Everyone in your group. Okay? So again, that video is already set. So I'm going to put it in your to-do list for the first week to watch this video. Right? The Google Mail assignment is already there. Right? And then once the discussion is over, what you're going to do is, like with the exams, you're going to have an hour to submit your work, scan it, and submit it to Wire Courses. Now, the exams, your work is always going to be submitted to the I'm not sure about this, but most likely everything's going to be submitted to just the main course page on Wire Courses instead of the discussions. But for the written homework and for the discussion assignments, you're going to submit those in your in Wire Courses, but to your discussion section course. Right? Most of them should be published already. If they're not, it's because we're still in the getting TAs. But once those TAs are hired, they're going to be set as instructors in those courses and Wire Courses. And then you're going to submit your written homework, and your discussion assignments there. Okay? With the same guidelines, right? Everything has to be scanned. Now, Jamboard, I think I'm going to make it required to use. It really is very useful. The interface is much better than what you're going to have in Zoom. And it's just going to make it easier to work with your team. Right? For these assignments, for these lab assignments, for a lot of them, they're going to be, kind of like on the harder side. So being able to work with the people and interact with the people in your group is going to take you a long way. Okay. Now, those are the main things. There are some things about how to be successful. Time management, making sure to leave enough time to work outside of class. There's a textbook that's going to be available through Alex. You're going to see how to access that in the video. So if you want more, or supplemental instruction compared to what I gave in the lectures, then you can go ahead and watch or read the lectures, the section, in the book. Okay, and those are how to access the book is all explained in the videos in Wire Courses about Alex. Let's see. In terms of getting help, there is going to be a SI every week. It's going to be run by Robert. He's still deciding on what time to set this up, but once it's set up, I'll give you the time and you'll be able to access this SI. So SI is basically like an out-of-class study session that's led by the SI leader. It helps a lot of students. If you've taken other classes like college algebra, you might have done SI before. It's a good tool to have, and especially if you're struggling, this is a good place to get extra practice. The office hours, as of now, they're to be determined, and same for the office hour for the TAs. Right? We're going to have 4 TAs and then me, and you're free to go to any office hour as long as it works for you. So even though, let's say there's a TA that's not your instructor for your discussion, you can still go to their office hour. Right? So I told the TAs that this is what you're going to do. So just go to the office hour that works best for you. And then as usual, they'll be done via Zoom. Okay. I will upload all of the office hours, including the TA's office hours, later in the week. You're welcome to work in groups. I don't mind, as long as whatever you submit is your own work. If I see anything like cheating or someone just copying from someone else, you can get in trouble. Right? I'm required to submit that information to the academic honesty, to the dean of students, and then they'll go through the required corresponding procedure in terms of academic dishonesty. Now, other than SI and my office hours, the best resource that you're going to have is the CASM. Right? So I'll talk more about this later. I'm also going to have a extra credit assignment for you just going to the CASM and doing some things. So it shouldn't be that bad. It's basically a tutoring lab just for mathematics and statistics courses. I'm actually the coordinator, so I'll make sure that everything's run smoothly, and this is a good place to get help. The tutors there are very good. So step tutoring, it's similar. The hours are a little bit longer, so you can look over that. Some other things, and then the technology I talked about. Alex has a built-in calculator, but you're free to use a scientific calculator if you want. I won't allow graphing calculators under any circumstance in the exams. You can only have scientific calculators. And since we're working with trigonometry, I would say that it's better if you get a scientific calculator. I'll probably make it required once I talk more about the exams when we get closer to those dates. Okay, so those are the big things about the syllabus. There's more information later, like the COVID-19 policies that the university is taking, classroom statement on diversity, which basically says that I won't discriminate you, academic dishonesty. You're going to see this again because I'll make you sign a academic honesty pledge before each exam. If you have any disability, you have to contact UDSS and let them know so they can contact me, and we can arrange for whatever special arrangements that you need, whether it's more time in the exams, etc. Please keep track of the add and drop date if you want to add more classes or drop a class. If I make any changes to the syllabus, I'm going to do them in writing. I mean that I'll send you a message about the change, and I'll also change the actual syllabus and wire courses. Okay? So that's basically the syllabus. Again, if you have any questions about any of this, please read the syllabus again first, and then you feel free to email me, and I'll do my best to help you.